Hi, I'm Lefthanded from Archery Supplies, and today I want to talk about setting up your archery business and common mistakes you'll make. Now, one of the greatest mistakes you'll make is stock. If you've got all this stock in your store, you need to sell it, and it needs to turn over. So if you buy the wrong stock that just sits on your shelf, it's the quickest way to go broke. So when you buy stock, you've got to make sure it's going to turn over and turn over quickly. Worst thing in the world is to buy a bow or an item and just have it sit there in your shop and not move. It's just dead money. You're better to have your money in a bank if it's not turning over. So when you buy stock, you've got to make sure that it's going to sell. And you're going to think, well, that's obvious. And I can tell you what, it's not obvious, and it's very hard when you're buying stock to know whether it's going to sell or not to sell. Now, recently, I'm going to say one of my friend's archery businesses went out of business, and he gave me his stock. When I say gave me, sold to me his stock, and I'm going through it now to sort of see what it's worth. Now, when you go through this, it actually raised the whole thing for me of what he had in his store and basically where his money was invested. Because if you buy a bow for $1,000, it sits there on your shelf not moving, you could have purchased other products which do move, which do sell. So I want to go through some of the common mistakes that he made, and I'm not throwing stuff at him because I'm not naming who it is. But it's common for me. I've made plenty of mistakes, so I just want to go through it and show you some of the common mistakes. Okay, so here's one of the boxes. So I think there's about 9 boxes of archery equipment that he's given me to sell. So I'm just going to start off. So tight spot quivers. Now, I'm not having to go at any of the brands because I'm sure it might sell for your archery shop. Now, I actually don't know about this brand at all, and it may be big, and I don't even know how much this quiver's worth. I'm guessing it's expensive, right? So first off, you're going to say, well, is this a big selling quiver? I'm going to guess this is an expensive quiver, right? The biggest selling bow quivers you're going to have in your store is cheaper bow quivers. Now it depends on your brand and all that sort of stuff. So always start off slow when you get into a business. And when I say start off slow, buy one, see how it sells. If it sells, then buy 2. If 2 sell, then buy 3. Don't go into something and buy like 10 or 20 of them and then hope it sells. So anyway, so let's just start off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quivers. And you're going to say, well, you know, these are popular quivers. I sell heaps of these in my store. These are all left-handed. So not only do you need a person to come in wanting an expensive quiver, they need to be left-handed. Now, these quivers will literally, like, I own a bigger archery store. Left-handed quivers are going to be hard to sell. So these quivers could sit on my shelf literally for 5 years. Even if I drop them out at a quarter of what their recommended retail price is, they're going to be hard to sell. So let's just keep going with this box. Now, Century quivers from Boning. And I feel like I'm having a go at the different manufacturers. Century quivers. Now, this is a cheap quiver. I don't know how much they sell for. It's a 2, 3, 4 arrow quiver. Now, you've got to know kind of how this is going to sell in the marketplace. For me, this is not going to sell. So let's say he paid $25 each for those quivers. I don't know how much he paid. To me, that kind of be worth probably about $20, maybe $15. Because they're going to be a hard quiver to sell because people generally want more than 4 arrows. Okay, pink bow quivers. Once again, hard to sell because it's only going to be sold to ladies. Now, Neat is a product I love. I love Neat. So I love the company. I love the way the whole company is run. Now, these finger tabs, I think he's got about 100 of them. I think. I can't remember the numbers. But now I've stocked these finger tabs before. Literally, there's heaps of them in here. And he's got some cheaper ones here from Neat. Now with finger tabs, you've got to know which product sells, because some of them sell, and it may be it sells for you and it doesn't sell for me. But for me, these ones don't sell. So what I'm going to add them to is a product range which I've got established that does turn over quickly. And now I've got to move these, which are hard to sell. So I'm maybe going to have to try and sell them off at like $5, $10 each, which is well below cost. So just on the finger tabs, I just want to go to the finger tab section. So on finger tabs, this is all my finger tabs. So this whole wall here is all finger tabs. So I've got a wall there of finger tabs, wall there of finger tabs, and then gloves up here. So you've got to say, well, what type of finger tabs are going to sell what price point? Well, these ones here are really popular for me. These are the win-and-win finger tabs. Now I sell a whole bunch of these. They're priced at the right price point. They're about $25. They've got a finger space, so they sell to all the target archers. They come in colors, but it takes a whole wall. So if you're a small archery shop, instead of stocking all the colors, you might want to just stock black, and that way you've cut back your sizing, how many you need. So by stocking the red, the black, the blue, I'm stocking twice as much as I need. Then up here, I'll just zoom up, I've got all the expensive tabs. These are about $100 each. Now they're going to sell to your top line Olympic style shooters. Now not Olympic shooters, because Olympic shooters generally don't buy anything from you because they're given all their stuff, but people who are keen on archery, who are shooting lots, will buy the $100 tabs. Now I've got some cheaper ones here which are your $20 tabs. I just tried those. I was like, well, let's see how they are compared to these, because they're a little bit cheaper. They're $5 cheaper. Let's see how they progress. I've got the Fairweather tabs. These are, once again, top of the line finger tab. They sell for about $100. They sell quite well in my store. I sell probably Fairweather tabs. I probably sell for a week. Now they're a $100 finger tab. Now this is a Cartel tab. This is a copy of the Cavalier finger tab. Now this doesn't sell for me, and yeah, it's quite a good tab. So I've got a whole bunch of them there. I must have 40 of them. Let's say these are $20 each. I don't know how much they are. They're Cordovan, a good material. Let's say they're $20 each, and there's 40 of them there on the shelf. There's $800 worth of tabs. If stuff isn't selling, you need to move it on and get other stuff. Now I sell a whole bunch of these. These are the PSE tabs, no pinch tab. They're very, very popular. They're about $15 each. Very, very popular tabs. So my thing with tabs, and thing with any product line, you get it in, see how it sells, and then you can add stuff. Like I added these. I was like, there's a new product I was looking at. It was company Yui out of China. They make all Olympic stuff. They had a finger tab, Cordovan, metal plates. I was like, well, let's try them out. Let's see how they sit. Nice little finger spacer. And I've got Fivix tabs over there as well. But I tried it. Now, these did not sell. So I've got about, I don't know how many of those I've got that just don't sell. So my whole point here is start off slow. Now, if stuff doesn't sell, you've got to then clear it out. So you've got to move it. And with these, I need to clear these out. So if you can't price point them out of the market, then you might put them with kits and get rid of them. So when a person buys a bow, you throw a finger tab in. Down here, these are Cartel tabs. Now I've had these since, you can see the price on there, $11, probably 10 years. Bad, these need to clear. And the reason they stopped selling is because basically other tabs have taken over the market, so everyone's buying like these instead of the others. So you're going to say, well, what are you looking up at these bows up here for? Well, these are all bows from that store. Now, the thing you're going to notice, whether you noticed it or not, every one of those bows was left-handed. So we've got up there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 bows, all left-handed. Extremely hard to sell. They probably would have cost him maybe 160 each. He was probably selling them for 235 for some and 450 for the others. Now, one of the things that he did when these recurves are called grey tree, I think, green tree. Now, I'm not sure where he got them from. He didn't get them from me. They're not a main sort of brand bow. What they're a Chinese bow which has been branded by another company, and then they've been on sold. So basically, you've got a whole lot of dead product there. Margins are hard to do, and you've got a whole lot of product that you can't sell. So if you're stocking left-handed, basically stock lower levels of them. So you might stock one. Now, if you lose a sale, so if a customer comes in and goes, look, I want a left-handed 45-pound bow, and you don't have one, well, you're going to lose that sale, right? You may be able to order it in, but you may lose that sale. Well, if you lose the sale, you lose the sale. It's better than having, how many bows did I say? 14 bows at $200 each. Do the maths. It's better to lose the sale where you basically have a $50 profit margin, so you lose $50, than to have 14 times 200, than to have $3,000 worth of dead stock. Okay. Now, if they'd been right-handed, easy to sell. But once again, like those bows, they're available under different names as well. So just be careful when you purchase stock. Now, it's going to make, you're going to think that I'm picking on him, and I'm not. This is just like, I looked at his range of stuff and I'm like, oh, like this is going to be really hard for me to sell. And when he says, well, will you buy it? And I'm like, oh, it's going to take me a long time to sell. There's such slow moving items. But I'm not exempt from this. So I'm going to say, well, I've made mistakes in the past too. So, and I don't have to reach very far to find a mistake. And this was a prism designed in New South Wales by a guy. He was selling them on eBay, and I saw a couple of tournaments. I was like, well, I'll contact him and try and get some in. Now, I think, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, I think I paid $50 each for them, and I think I purchased, this big box, it's more than 50. I purchased them in every colour, 2 right-handed, 1 left-handed, in 1032 thread and 832 thread. And then my markup was about $10. Like really bad. I mean, what I wanted was I wanted people to come to me for their clout mirrors. Because I had clout mirrors, I wanted them to come to me for clout mirrors. Because I had a whole range of other clout mirrors. Here. So I had a range of other clout mirrors. Well, I wanted his as well, because obviously there was some demand for them. Now, these didn't really sell very well. And it's not that they're bad to buy, okay? The thing was, I purchased too many and the turnover is too slow. And that's not abnormal for me. So, I mean, I don't have to go very far. I don't have to go very far to find really poor products that I've chosen. So when I saw these bags out of China, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. This would be a great affordable bag for people to shoot their compound bows into. But then when I did a test, they didn't really hold up for a compound. And then Jung Sing said, well, they're only meant for like low poundage recurve bows. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, right? The target's probably a bit small for a low poundage kids recurve. And I haven't tested it yet for the but I think I purchased like 200 of these because it came in a shipping container. Okay, this is my stabilizer wall, and this is just a area of complete disappointment as far as sales. Now, I sell lots of stabilizers, and I've got some huge success stories as far as stabilizers, but I've got a huge amount of disappointment in stabilizers because there's such a huge range of stabilizers on the market, from one price point to the top price point. So, and they come in all different colors. So when you buy stabilizers, they come in like blues, reds, greens, whatever colors, and then you might not have them. And I have a whole bunch of dollars in these stabilizers. So I thought, well, these are the cut stabilizers. I thought, well, these look good. They come in a whole bunch of different colors. So I ordered a whole bunch, and then I was like, oh, they don't really sell. Not that they're a bad stabilizer, they just don't have a really price point in the market, or they're not displayed well enough. Maybe the graphics here is not as trendy as these graphics, because that looks kind of cool. Those graphics don't. So basically what I've got to do is I've got to clear these ones out. Okay. But I've got a whole wall of mistakes I've made as far as stabilizers in the past. So you've got to know what's going to be successful. When I say you've got to know, you've got to try stuff and try it in a small way before you enter into something in a big way, is my advice. Now, I'm in my compound. This is where I store my compound bows. Well, some of my compound bows, the other compound bows are stored elsewhere. Now, one of the big problems with compound bows is which ones to stock, what poundages to stock, what colors to stock, and all that sort of stuff. Now, you can start off too big and throw all your money into compound bows, and I'm always a huge fan of starting off small and gradually building up, okay? So now even though I'm larger as far as volumes and how many bows I'm stocking, still really cautious, and I tend to order very regularly. Now, some of my competitors order by the container, so they'll order a container of bows, bang, they'll order 1,000 of those bows, and then they'll sell them, and then order another container. I tend to be more like I'll fly stuff in every couple of weeks, every week, and try and keep my stock under control, because otherwise what you're going to end up with is a whole bunch of products that are outdated, new products come in, then you've got to sell off the old product at below cost. Now, along this area here, I've got a whole bunch of brand bows. Some have been successful and some haven't. So I'll just talk briefly about those. So back in the past, I was the Bowtech distributor for Australia. Hugely successful for me. I used to sell them by the pallet load, literally by the pallet load every week. Hugely successful company for me. PSE was hugely successful. Now, I lost Bowtech, and I thought, well, I've now got the Elite shirt on. I was like, well, let's see if I can have the same success with Elite. Now, Elite to me struggled. And I'm still trying to claw some sort of market share with Elite. Nice bow, but I'm finding it hard to get that. I'm going to climb market share with Elite. Matthews, I really struggled with when I entered into it, and even though I invested $100,000 in Matthews to get into Matthews, I really struggled. And I can go through why I struggled, or why I think I struggled. But what I'm saying, my advice to you, if you get into an archery business and you're stocking products, is you go into it slowly. I mean, at the time, I was under the impression with Matthews, I was buying the exclusive for Australia, and then my sales rep left. He was actually fired, I think, literally a week after I invested the money. And yeah, and then basically everyone started buying Matthews direct from Matthews, and my stock became outdated very quickly, and there was another dealer discounting product at below what I paid for it. So it was like, pfft. So basically what I'm saying, archery is an investment. If you get into it from a business, you want to make money, you can go and buy houses, you can buy stock in bows, you can buy shares. You're making a choice that when you buy archery equipment, as an investment to try and make money, which is better than shares or real estate. And if you make the wrong decision, then it can be a worse decision than buying shares or housing. Now, I'm not saying Matthews is bad, okay, because you could absolutely have success with Matthews. If you're in a small town, or if you're in a big town, there's no Matthews dealer around you, and Matthews is big and it's well supported, you've got great sales reps, you buy at the right price point, and you can compete against, you know, the other shops in your area. It's a great product. But for me, what I'm saying is there was a dealer selling their products off at below what I paid for it. Then Matthews started selling to other dealers around Australia, and I think my pricing wasn't very good. So basically I just got eroded literally everywhere, and I didn't build a dealer base. Now for me, I had huge success with PSE and Botec because obviously I stocked a whole bunch of them and dealers were buying from me. I had them in stock and dealers could get them quickly and get them out the door quickly, and it was a win-win. So just be careful when you enter into a bow line. Make sure there's going to be sales in it, and there's going to be turnover, and you can make some profit on it. Otherwise, all this stock could just be sitting here in your shelves, basically losing value, and you in which case you better have shares or housing. So I think that's kind of gone through what I want to go through. We'll just take a quick look at some other stuff that I got in this box. So in the box there's a couple of knife sharpeners. Like, knife sharpeners would be easier to sell. Some old Muzzy points. So there. Now that will be really hard to sell. Like this sort of thing here, unless you got demand for it, you might be better to throw it in the bin. So so you can see here, he was selling them for $20 and then he put them out on discount for $10. So what I would do is I'll put these on the website for $10, which would be cheap. If they don't sell, then I need to throw them in the bin. So so they become worthless. Okay, so bee stinger. Now you can see here, this is a bee stinger like sidebar. You can see how slowly this sells for bee stinger because it hasn't even updated the label. So basically it's just a bad buy. So I'm going to guess something like this. So, oh, there's the price on it, $25. Now, the problem with this is it's got no adjustment, and the ones which do have adjustments sell for maybe like $30, $35. So this is really going to be hard to sell. Like if you could get $5 for it, that would be a good outcome. Bow fishing line here. Like bow fishing stuff does sell, but not by great quantities. This is a box of vanes. Now vanes to me, these are the killer vanes. Killer vanes are really hard to sell. They've kind of died off, and in fact Boning have now discontinued them. They've replaced them with a vane called Bronco vane. So, but they just slowed down, and this box has got a whole bunch of killer vanes in it. So a whole bunch of killer vanes. That, like, the killer vanes will sell eventually, but they'll be really slow. So for me, I'm like, do I discount them or do I just sell them at the normal price and just wait for 2 years for them to sell? And the thing is, often if you discount items, they'll be really they won't sell any faster. So I will show you an example of that too, but I'm just going to show you the last of the products, and then I'll show you probably one of my worst buys. So on this bench here is all his gold tip line that he had. Now, I'm a gold tip dealer, distributor. So you think, well, this is good. I can just, this will just mesh into my gold tip line and it'll all be good. The problem is, if I look at this stuff here, 22 uni bushings, I don't sell 22s. 22s don't sell for me. 204 pins. 204 pins are a kinetic shaft. Not a good seller for me. I don't sell hardly any of them. These are laser brass. Lasers are the crossbow bolt. These are brass weights for them. Don't sell. These are 22 series inserts. Definitely don't sell. X-cutter inserts. X-cutters are your indoor arrow inserts for them. Literally will never sell. AccuPoints 22s. These will sell if you sell 22s. I don't sell 22s. X-cutter inserts, once again, don't sell. X-cutters. Now, I don't sell many X-cutters. This is a uni bushing for the back, so that won't sell. 166 points. Now, they will sell. But they're expensive. They sell for about $50, and now there's a whole bunch of other points on the market. So, and the Pierce shafts have slowed down for me due to price point and various other competition from various other manufacturers. So then I have a whole bunch of 204 Knox, which literally I wouldn't sell 15 dozen of these a year. 204s just don't sell as far as gold tips concerned. 125 grain 22 points, they don't sell. The pin knocks do sell, but they are slow, and the reason is because these are actually wider than the outside of the shaft, so a lot of people don't like them. I feel like I'm sort of... Now, there are items in the gold tip range which are really good. The gold tip hunters are great, the Pierce platinum shafts are great. There's a whole bunch of products which are really good. It's just he doesn't have any of those really good products left over in his stock. These are all really slow selling items, and he's got too much of them. So for example, let's say he paid $15 for those Knox. They're worth now really not much because I'll never sell them. So you just have to be careful, is what I'm saying. Okay, so when often sales reps come into your store and they tell you what will sell and what won't sell. Now, if you trust them, that's good. And maybe they'll refund your money if that item doesn't sell. But in a large extent, they don't. So with me, before I used to sell remote control cars and stuff. And the sales rep would say, this sells, this sells, this sells, and this sells. And I'd buy a whole bunch of it and it's just sat on my shelf. So I was thinking people would come in because I've got these items, and he told me they were big selling items, and people would come to my store to buy those big selling items because they're popular. That wasn't the case. So this is a bullseye target system. So basically you set this up where you're shooting and you can see where you're hitting on range. So it uses you don't need Wi-Fi. I think it uses Bluetooth technology. It doesn't really matter about the product. It sells for about $600. I purchased it because they said they're really popular, and then you can't sell it. So I don't know if it is popular or not popular. Maybe people don't come to me for it. I don't know. So anyway, for me, that wasn't successful. So just always bear in mind, a salesperson gets paid on commission, so they want to move product line to you. They'll go around all the stores and say, this is a great product, and it may not sell. So that product there, I need to clear out. It's been sitting in my store now for a bit over a year. So I need to clear it out. Want to know what one of my worst purchases is ever? I've got a whole bunch of them. These here. This here is a Ribtech broadhead. A really popular broadhead. Like really popular. It was made in Victoria, Australia, by a guy who's literally a genius. I mean, his house was just amazing. So I used to sell a whole bunch of these literally all the time. By the hundreds, I used to buy them off him by the thousands. Anyway, so he's selling his business of all these Ribtechs. He's selling out, so I drove down, I think I paid, number out the air, $50,000 for these broadheads. I drive my car down there with a big trailer and pick up all these broadheads. Roughly 20 years later, I've still got probably half of them left. At the time, I thought, well, if I pick this up, then all the shops will start buying these from me because they're really popular. They're popular with traditional archers. They were popular with hunters. Most of the big game stuff had been shot with them in Australia. And then what happened? Then all your mechanical broadheads started coming out and people wanted mechanicals, and then Chinese started making cheap broadheads. And basically, these broadheads kind of missed their mark. Actually, I sell more of these in America than I do in Australia. So even though they're Australian made, yeah, I sell more of them in America than in Australia, which is quite amazing. But I've still got them for 20 years later, and I've been moving them from location to location wherever I go, boxes and boxes of these broadheads. So anyway, that's Ribtech, and I purchased them about 20 years ago for about $50,000. So I'm going to put that back in perspective. So $50,000 20 years ago would have been maybe half a house. Half a house where I was before would now be worth $300,000. I'm left with Ribtech broadheads now, which are worth literally nothing. So just be careful with stuff. And the problem is, even if I try to close these out, and I've been trying to close them out on various things, on eBay and stuff, I put them cheap for bags of 100. People just don't buy them. And I'm going to say there was a case in America where something like this, so it was a broadhead, existed, and this guy had the same problem. He was trying to close them out cheap. And a person brought them, and instead of putting them out cheap, he put them out expensive. He's like $5 each for the broadhead. And suddenly people were like, well, it must be quality because it's expensive. And he sold out. So it's not always based on price. Price doesn't always drive volume. But for me, I had so many of these. And what was bad with this purchase was the popular sizes sold out really well. The non-popular sizes, I've just got so many left of. So I'm hoping that gives you a bit of an idea. Just basically, summary is, if you're getting into archery, start off small, gradually build your way up, and don't make huge purchases that can lead in a loss in the long term. And deal with people you trust. So yeah, basically if I trust the salesperson, if they say, look, this will sell for you, and it does sell, then I have huge amounts of trust. And often in my videos, you'll see me talk about PSE. My sales rep from PSE, I have huge amounts of trust in. If he says this will sell, Stephen, it absolutely has for 20 years. And in 20 years, I have never had a product, I'm just thinking, that has not sold that he's told me to buy. So, and that's the kind of backup you need from salespeople. You need to trust them, and they need to deliver on their promises. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. I hope that's been beneficial to you, and the best of luck in your business. Thanks for watching.